Yeah. So, good evening, my brothers and sisters. I am wearing white because I come in peace. I come in peace, and tonight, what I want to deliver is a message of Christmas, a message of hope, a message of love, a message of peace. That is what I want to deliver tonight. What is what I want to deliver tonight? But of course, being a politician and talking politics, you can never have everyone agreeing with you. There will be people that will not agree with you. But I want to tell you that what I'm going to talk about tonight is nothing but what I strongly feel from the bottom of my heart, out of love for my country, out of love for President Edgar Lungu, out of love for my brothers and sisters, out of love. And this is why I am speaking. This is not about no, whatever, no, you have been paid, whatever. There is nothing. I am simply speaking out of love for my country, out of love for Edgar Lungu, out of love for the people of Zambia, my brothers and sisters. That is from the point of view that I'm speaking. And I know there are a number of other issues that some of you would want me to address. But for tonight, allow me to just stick to this resolution. I have a resolution, and the resolution that I am proposing to you people, to you, my countrymen and women, is that can we restore the dignity of our former head of state, Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu. This is I'm going to say whatever things I'm going to say here, but bottom line, I am saying we are coming to the end of the year. Okay, we are in the Christmas season. The baby Jesus is born, and we are getting into a new year. As we start the new year, before we start it, I am asking all of us that can we restore the dignity of our former head of state, Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu? Can we restore that dignity that he deserves as a former head of state? That is my message tonight. Can we, I will repeat that, please napapata. Can we restore the dignity of our former head of state, Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu? Can we respect him? Can we look at him as a statesman, as a former head of state? Umusalura na uchilamu kuliva Edgar Chagwa Lungu. There is too much disrespect. There is too much, hatred that is being thrown on by Edgar Chagwa Lungu, such that in a chilempelo mwenso, and I'm going to speak without fear or favor. Because if this is not just about your eligibility, chavana shani. Me, I love Valungu. And yes, some of you say whatever you will say, but I'm telling you, this I am saying from the bottom of my heart. Out of love for my country, out of love for Edgar Lungu, out of love for my brothers and sisters. That's why I am speaking. I love Valungu. It is not about what any selfish motive I have. No, nothing. But you see, before I go on to talk about other issues, let me just go back a little bit where we are coming from. Where we are coming from, after Lungu lost the elections, kuri ba UPND, Lungu decided to withdraw. This is a story, eh? This is the background. Lungu decided to withdraw from politics. Okay? And yes, he even wrote that letter, which went to cabinet. But PF, the PF members refused to say no. You can't go just like that. We have just lost an election. There is what was that? There is a post-mortem. Wait for the post-mortem to come out. You remember? Wait for the post-mortem to come out. When after the post-mortem, then we can, look at a new leader taking over. Then we can look at for a new leader taking over. So, Lungu Aveni, he refused to continue with politics. But the PF members refused to let Lungu retire. They asked him to hold on. So that, after the post-mortem, then they can choose a leader. They can go to a convention and choose a leader. And whilst that was happening, some of us, myself, I don't know about others, but I'll speak for myself. After tuamonoko bati bahaka inde ichirema na UPND ya utapale kubali tutwala. I was one of the first people to criticize bahaka inde ichirema. I was one of the first people to call bahaka inde ichirema dictator. I was one of the first people to say things are not going to be okay. Bahaka inde ichirema is not taking us anywhere. And when I did that, I looked around who could take over. And I looked at Edgar Lungu to say, Lungu is the best person. And why did I think of Lungu? I thought of Lungu, number one. I looked at him as a man that had experience. He had the experience. I looked at Lungu as a man that would unify the country, because the country at the moment is quite divided. I looked at Lungu as one person that can unify the country. I looked at Lungu as one that can mobilize the resources that are needed, to mount a serious campaign and, dislodge UPND. I went to Lungu. And when I went to Lungu, I asked him if he could consider coming back. Lungu Valikene, he refused. The first time I went to Lungu, he refused. He said, I've done my part. Let others come in. Yes, you may say things are not going right. And I do remember very well, Lungu was very gracious of Haka in the Ichilema. Lungu was very gracious. I went militantly, accusing Edgar Haka in the Ichilema of so many things. Lungu defended Haka in the Ichilema in that meeting. He defended Haka in the Ichilema to say, give him time. Give him time. That's what Lungu said. Give him time. These things take long and what. And I went back. Again, I think I went there. After some time, I saw food to think wino. Baisa vika powa UPND, baisa njikata no kunjikata. Padi in a case valesa mkule, in a case valeta at they are going to pass a judgment. They arrested me for inciting mutiny when I was basically speaking for the soldiers. When I was speaking, because they were not paid, and they were not paid, full allowances as Bahaka in the Ichinima promised. I spoke about that. And I was arrested. When they arrested me, I was very upset. I went back to Lungu. I said, Lungu, no more money. Bamba no kula tuikata nomba. Avantwa. if into Fiala, please come back and save us. Balungu still refused. I think I went there 3 times. 3 times. Balungu kept on refusing. I think then the 4th time, okay, Balungu number, what do you think number kanshi? Where do we go? Where do we go? Who are you anointing? Who do you think should take over? Who do you think should take over? Balungu still did not give me a clear answer to say, support this one. No. Balungu told me again to say, who are you thinking? It is you people to choose. It's not me. It is not me. It is you people to choose who you want to take over PF. And that's how I came out. And, push after some consultations. That is how the name of Brian Mundubire came up. And I started talking about Brian Mundubire. But before I could start talking about Brian Mundubire, I went back to the Lungu foot to say, about Brian Mundubire, he can be a good leader. Lungu told me, I'm not going to stop you. Choose whoever it is. If you think Brian Mundubire can do it, that's it. Because at the end of the day, people will choose. Since we will go to a convention. So, go ahead. And at the end of the day, the people at the convention will choose. That's how I started campaigning for Brian Mundubire. That's how I started campaigning for Brian Mundubire. Along the way, some people had mounted. I don't want to mention names, but there were people that had mounted, started, opposing to my campaign against Brian Mundubire. They started opposing. They started opposing. And they were saying, no, Lungu should come back. So I went back, I said, but because Balungu barikena vele. And some of the people say, barikene kuisa. Because if you're not sure to read and the person for Tukana Balungu, Chavana Shan. I want to tell you, never at any point did Balungu tell me, never. But there were people that were around Balungu who were coming out and saying, Balungu bale chifwaya. Balungu bale chifwaya. Brian Mundubire was actually hated by some people. Up to today, some of these people, na Brian Mundubire tawofana no kumfwana. Even myself, they started opposing me. I remember at one point, at one point I was arrested. And some lawyers who were representing me could not come. Some lawyers who were representing me withdrew. And why did they withdraw? Why did they withdraw? They withdrew because they were saying, because I am campaigning for Brian Mundubire. I'm telling you exactly how things happened. Balungu never told me to say, but there were people that started now fighting me. And those who were supporting Brian Mundubire, they started fighting. We were divided now. And the division was, no, ababakwa Lungu, imwe mune supporta Brian Mundubire. At the end of the day, I told Brian Mundubire, my brother, what do you think? Look at this situation. Brian Mundubire said, you know what? This issue, from my point of view, unless Vamdala Ngatabale Chifwaya, then I can lift up my head. But if Vamdala is interested, I can never stand in his way. That was Brian Mundubire. Brian Mundubire refused. He said, as long as there are people, his name is coming up, I can never stand in his way. That is my father. That is my father. I cannot fight Edgar Chagwa Lungu. And he told me, actually said, glad that you have come, because even me, I wanted to tell you about this. I wanted to stop you. I wanted to stop you. Before you could even come, I wanted to call you so that we stop this until we are sure that Vamdala is not interested. If Lungu is interested, we can never antagonize him. We can never stand in his way. That is how we pulled back. And seeing how the momentum was building within, I just said, who am I? Who am I? If on our way, came back to Alebwe and started campaigning for Alebwe. Especially now with what happened kuri Mao Sampa. Because Mao Sampa also exacerbated the situation. Mao Sampa made things worse. He made things worse. Because now it was even about trying to save PF. And we looked around, the only leader who was legitimate, the legitimate leader of PF, even up to there as we speak, the legitimate leader of PF, Niba Lungu. So, with that, we had no choice but to bring back Lungu so that we can save PF. And that is how I started hammering, Balungu come out, hey, Balungu come out, so that we save PF. And from there, I mean, fast forward anyway, let me say fast forward, Balungu came out and kwaba kirikiti nomba tulinakuli batonse whatever. And we are where we are now, where now karaka case ka eligibility nako kalisa tampa. Ukuturapunda tarebwera poka eligibility nako kambo kula pyango muliro kala yakale kulafe kala yakale kulafye mpaka muri lelo Balungu has been declared at not eligible, which is not true, because I mean that issue of eligibility, even me, when it was there, I was against that case. If you follow, I was against that case. I supported what John Sangwa was saying, because remember, John Sangwa was one of the lawyers for Bahaka in the Ichilima, saying Edgar Lungu is not eligible to contest an election. So when I heard that argument and I saw that he had a point, but after the court ruled, we all respected the judgment of the court, of the Concord. We respected the judgment of the Concord. I respected the judgment of the Concord. And so today, I am against this now, this judgment that came out, because it is basically being undoing what was done before. Then so anyway, that judgment, I don't want to go into it because it was all political. It was all political. But I'm just speaking to some of you who might be saying, no, but before you accepted that Edgar Lungu is not eligible, then why Safichinja? Yes, just like John Sangwa was a lawyer for Bahaka in the Ichilema for UPND. But when the judgment was passed, John Sangwa respected the judgment. I fall in that group. And I am against what has done, because now it seems like, depending on who is in power, the Concord will go towards him. And that is not right. It's not good for our country. We cannot be changing, we cannot be rewriting judgments based on who is in power. That is my point. We cannot be rewriting judgments based on who is in power. Because the way it is, tomorrow I'll become president and I will also demand that the Concord write the judgment in a particular way. That is not right. When the court makes a judgment, we're supposed to respect that. We're supposed to respect that. Even in case I've got a assault case. I am innocent. I'm innocent in that assault nonsense. I am innocent. But the court ruled. I respect it. I respect it. But of course, I don't want to go to prison innocently. That's why I'm here. The same thing, even with this judgment that is going to come. I'm not going to fight with the magistrate to say, I'm not going to do that. Because that is disrespect to the judiciary. And what happened this time, no matter what arguments you give me, I will not accept it because it dilutes the independence of the judiciary. It dilutes the objectivity of the judiciary. It is defeated. Because now the judiciary becomes subjective to the people that are in government. That should not be the case. So anyway, the point is that where we are coming from, from my point of view, Lungu never at one point told me to say, Tayari, go out there and campaign for me that Ndevo Kuwelirapo. However, the people around by Edgar Lungu, familiar faces around by Edgar Lungu, they were the ones who were out there to say, no, Balungu walefuaya. Balungu walefuaya. Nifotu ikaranabo. Nifotu ishive. Whatever. And we followed that. Now, there is this eligibility case which has put Balungu out. And this one, my brothers and sisters, let's face the facts as they are. Let's be realistic. To undo this eligibility issue, it's a mammoth task. Chimona Fidawalanda Rusengo Luambwa. It is very difficult to undo what the Concord did on the 10th of December. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. Don't be cheated. Don't be cheated. It is very difficult. Even if that judgment, we may not agree with that judgment. Even if the judgment to undo it, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. It is very difficult. And worse off, Hakainde Ichilema in State House. With Hakainde Ichilema in State House to undo that judgment. Even if Balungu today or anyone takes over, even if Balungu is president today, to undo that, it is not just a matter of saying, oh, we have undone this. No, there has to be a process. There have to be a process. Somehow, as much as you are doing Mingalato, that Mingalato must fall in line with the procedures of the judiciary. And somebody has to come up with some intelligence of putting up a judgment that may sound like it is making sense. So it is not easy. Let's be real. It is not easy. So from my point of view, where we are now, it has become very difficult for Lungu to return into power. It's very difficult. I am not saying it is impossible. Everything is possible. But if that has to be possible, what will it take? If that has to be possible, what will it take for Lungu to be on the ballot? Because, again, where we are now, we have a group of people, just like that time, we have a group of people who are busy saying, no, Balungu will be on the ballot. We still have some people. Just like at that moment when I was shouting, Mundubire, there were people that stood up to say, no, Balungu Balechfwa. Even this time around, we have people that are busy saying, no, Lungu will be on the ballot. From my point of view, I don't know their point of view. And of course, what I say, it is not cast in concrete. Others can come up with their own opinion. You might even convince me. And I might, follow you. But from where I stand, as Chirufatayali, the public lawyer, the person that loves his country, the person that loves you, I'm seeing that very difficult. Very, very difficult. Objectively speaking, I am seeing that very, very difficult. And I have to tell you this because I know there are some people who are thinking or who are hearing to what this group of people, who claim to be sitting with Balungu, who claim to be eating with Balungu. I know they are saying this, and some of you have got hope in this one. I am a man of faith, and as a man of faith, I've got hope. But at the same time, my faith is reasonable. Is reasonable, and I have to be realistic. We know in Zambia, rain season starts in November up to about April. It is rare that you would have rain in June. It is rare. It is not impossible to have rain in June. It's possible. Kuti yaloka, but inga yaloka, everyone will be shocked. Infula mu June. You see? It is the same situation here. It's true, some people are saying this kind of thing, but I want to be real. I want to tell you, it is not easy. It is not easy. And somebody will say, but no, why are you talking? Why don't you just keep quiet? If we don't tell people the truth, they will have some false hope. And some of them might even do things banking on that. Some of them might even do things banking on that. And some of these things that they might do might cost their lives, might cost their freedom. This is why it is important that we guide our people very well. We have got a lot of young people out there who may not understand issues. We have got, some ordinary citizens who may not understand issues and who may be hearing balungu bakemina. They are having false hope. Because really, my brothers and sisters, no matter what, even you, Lungu beyond the ballot, even you who are saying that, this one is a difficult one. I am not saying it is impossible. But what will it take for Balungu to come back? I've told you from a legal point of view, that is very difficult to happen. Very difficult. But then, when we talk about from a political point of view, it is also not easy. Because to take a for that to happen from a political point of view, you must put pressure. You must put adequate pressure to move Haka in the Ichilem. I'm not saying it is impossible. But I'm saying it will be very difficult. We have a precedence in 1991. We had that election out of pressure because there was pressure which started in 1989. Our first riot was in 1989. 1989, 1990, the situation in the country was unstable. There was a lot of pressure that was put on Dr. Kaunda, such that he had to give in to change the constitution from one-party state to multipartism. And that's how we had MMD in 1991. Movement for Multi-Party Democracy. It was a movement. There was a movement. There was pressure, real pressure for Kaunda to succumb and call for an early election, change the constitution, and we went for early elections. Now, that pressure which was there during Kaunda, if you look around, do you think we can have that pressure at this point in time? I tell you, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy this time around. It's not going to be easy. It is not going to be easy for a number of reasons. Some of you, sometimes when you talk about abantu bakema, people will rise up. Some of you feel so militant that you can go out on the street, you can demonstrate and whatever. Trust me, At the moment, I've assessed the situation. I've assessed the situation. It is not easy for people to come out. It is not easy for people to come out and put that kind of pressure, which pressure was put Kuliba Kaunda. It is not easy. It is not easy. Because really, if it was possible, this pressure would have been put. The first day that we saw Bakapokola surrounding Edgar Lungu's house, we would have seen that pressure when Esther Lungu was arrested. We would have seen that pressure when this case of eligibility started. We would have seen that pressure when the judges decided to hear this matter in spite of having adhered it before. We would have seen that pressure. We would have seen that pressure when they called on the 10th of December, when judgment was passed. But if you look around the country, my brothers and sisters, yes, ubunga na balunda, yes, fewer na balunda, finch. But really, from my point of view, I don't see the situation that we had back then. And apart from that, when you look at your Dr. Kaunda na Edgar na Hakainde Hichilema, you can't compare these two. Bakaunda was a strong man. He was a strong man. But Bakaunda is very different from Hakainde Hichilema. It's very different. Just think of it, especially those of us who were Munankane, Muni Bakaunda. Hakainde Hichilema is a bigger dictator. The dictatorship of Bakaunda, you can't compare it to the dictatorship of Hakainde Hichilema. You can't. Hakainde Hichilema is a resolved man. Hakainde Hichilema opwe nyapo pene. You cannot move Hakainde Hichilema. You can't. People will die. Hakainde Hichilema will not give in. Look at what is happening in Mozambique. Some of you have seen what is happening in Mozambique. The election was held in August. They have been fighting. Up to today, they are fighting. People are rioting and so on and so forth. It is chaotic in Mozambique. But the ruling party has dug in. They have dug in. They are not moving. So it is not easy to change a ruling party or the regime, to put pressure on a regime and make them change their mind. It's not easy. It may take so many people to die. People might die. This is why I'm saying I love my brothers and sisters. I love my brothers and sisters. I don't want anyone to end up losing a life. I don't want anyone to go to jail over this. Because you end up going to jail and at the end of the day, nothing happens. Already, we have a number of people that have been arrested. Already, we have a number of people that have been arrested. Abali Mufungo. Up to now, we have got people that are still in prison due to some political cases, and especially some of these cases relating to Edgar Chagwa. People who are around Edgar Lungu have been targeted, and some of them, some of them, they have run away. They have run out of the country. Me, as one of those, I am out here. Let's face it. Let's face it, because some of you want to claim like you know too much. You love Edgar Lungu too much. Some of us, we are here because of Edgar Lungu. I'm in exile because of Edgar Lungu. Yes, I used to oppose by UPND. And by UPND, they were not happy with what I was doing. But the moment I ran an agenda for Alewe Redapo, things became bad. If you go and look around when I was being arrested at the height of me campaigning for Alewe Redapo. What made UPND so upset with me, it is Edgar Lungu. That's what made UPND so upset. Another example I would give you, because you may not realize this. You may not realize this. My assault case was as good as resolved. My assault case was as good as resolved. And listen to me when I'm talking. Mule umfwe chisungu ndelanda. Mule chumfwe kisha wino. Umulandu wandu wa assaulti. Wali resolved. Wali resolved. Mule umfwa. Wali resolved. Though the resolution was not what I wanted or what I expected, because I didn't want to be convicted. But nonetheless, it was resolved. I was not going to jail. I was not going to jail. That's for sure. I was not going to jail. But how did things turn around that the case of assault is still there? Why? Why? It is because the person that came and paid that fine was Edgar Lungu. Epolia fumineria shi. Vaisalo reshaba mambala ala uyumuntu. Tuale monati ichimusa chakwe chali pona Edgar Lungu kanshibalo mfwana. We thought that his relationship with Edgar Lungu is normal. So Edgar Lungu is still with him. We can't trust this guy. That is how UPND went and appealed that case. When they went and appealed that case, they even now started bringing other cases. They were like, na tumukonge, tulumuliwule. Efodia veriashi. We were okay now by UPND. The moment Walungu paid that 20,000 kwacha, awe fia pena no pena fia pena. They appealed that case. And they wanted now to bring more cases on me. More cases on me. And that is how Naishiremonanat Apafiavi Papa. Because in the meantime, I didn't even have lawyers. So I looked at it. Nabalanchitakantuava. Awabantubalanchitakantu. And that is how I left the country. So my being out here is connected to Edgar Lungu. Let us look at other people. We are going to have by-elections in Petauke. JJ was close to UPND. The moment he went to Lungu, JJ was abducted. Cases of Atishanyuko, whatever aggravated robbery was brought in. Today we are going to have by-elections in Petauke. It is connected to Walungu. We have a number of people. This guy at Nanuyu, who are the former presidential political advisor, Chris Zumanizimba. Chris Zumanizimba did not go to jail for anything. Chris Zumanizimba went to jail because of when wakapokola vaishire monekera kule vasasangati na Chris Zumanizimba uyu muntu so Diana is still around by Edgar Lungu efo bamufiantire. They knew Chris Zumanizimba had not committed a crime, but they had to fix him. He stayed in prison, I think in Kachindate 6 months. He stayed in prison. Today we are talking about there is that Indian guy, that Patel, at Rizwan, whatever, that guy is inside. Why? Because he's one of those guys that were militant for Edgar Lungu. We have other people. We have Simon Nkoma, Alimukati. We have Uriam guys, Greg, Alimukati. We have a number of people right now as we speak. All those who seemed to have aligned themselves to Edgar Chagwalungu, they have been targeted. So, from my point of view, when I'm saying, because I love you, my brothers and sisters, this is what I mean. What I mean is that some of you, if you have got this notion in your heads that Balungu, whatever, you might do things that might just cost you. And yet, it will not go anywhere. It will not go anywhere. Why? Because even the capacity to fight that is not there. Even the capacity to fight, to push the agenda of Balungu Balebolilapo, it is not there. It is not there. And why there is no capacity? There is no capacity because Hakainde Hichilema has made sure that Balungu does not access financial help that he needs. Balungu has been, but they have cut easy. Tuma salaries vale for up to the two of our former president. They have cut it. Balungu is monitored. He's on surveillance 24/7. People are scared to go and see Balungu. People are scared. Now Balungu is scared to allow people to come to his house and see him. So, as a politician, how are you going to mobilize resources? Balungu cannot fly out of the country. Recently, Balungu was invited to go to South Africa to go and attend the first anniversary of Umkondo Wesizwe, political party, here kwa Zuma. He couldn't travel. The one who went is Nakachinda. So how will Balungu mobilize resources? How will he mobilize resources? Let's be real. Let's be real. These are facts. How will Balungu mobilize resources? Because as a politician, you need to mobilize resources. And the resources, you cannot mobilize them by social media. You cannot mobilize them by phone. You need to see people. You need to convince people. But Balungu has been confined. It's as good as Balungu is on house arrest. How is he going to mobilize resources? We have had elections. I am my elections. Resources were not enough. Resources were not enough. Resources were not enough. If you had good resources, you would have mounted people to counter those small, to counter Abena Ntwanikani, Abena Atinanu, Minister of Sports. You would have countered those people. But the resources were not enough, so you couldn't counter. Bashon Tembo, he was moving alone. Namoto Kayakwe. Namoto Kayakwe. He was generous, actually. I salute you, Sean Tembo. You did so much. You did so much, Sean Tembo. You did so much. You people who went there, you did so much. I really appreciate. It's not that I don't appreciate what you did. But Tonse, you did a good job. But my brothers and sisters, I am sure you agree with me that if you had more resources, you would have done better. You would agree with me that if you had more resources, you would have done better. And Balungu, yes, I know he has been trying, but really, it is not the same like when he was in power. It is not the same. It is very difficult for Balungu to mobilize resources. Some of you keep talking, Tayali, Edgar Lungu is whatever. Balungu expense and the money that I spend here, I don't think Balungu is spending it in a month. I don't think Balungu doesn't have money. He doesn't have money. So now, if we don't have resources, how can we fight Hakainde Hichilema? Munjebeko. How are you going to put pressure? How are you going to put pressure? To put pressure on a government, it's not easy. It is not easy. And I don't see it happening in Zambia. At the moment, I don't see it. Therefore, I am saying, if we pushing, no, no, Lungu beyond the ballot. Let us all agree here. Let us all agree here to drop that agenda and move on. Let us all agree to drop that agenda and move on. And I am not saying this because I don't like Balungu, whatever. I am saying this, number one, considering Balungu Aben. Number one, considering Balungu Aben. I am speaking here, I'm speaking for Balungu. I am speaking for Lungu, for the love, out of the love that I have for Lungu. Because right now, we are putting Lungu under pressure. Under pressure. Lungu is under so much pressure. Pressure of, being with a wife who is facing serious charges. Pressure of being a former head of state and yet chirabushikubale kutuka. Pressure of having children abali makoti. That is a lot of pressure. That is a lot of pressure. And yet we want to put this pressure on him now to say, no, our way, just continue, just continue, just continue. Let's be fair, guys. Let's be fair, guys. Let's be fair. This pressure that we are putting on Lungu, we should lift it. And I am saying this pressure which you are putting on Lungu because up to today, I can tell you that I have never been told by Lungu to say, campaign for me. Never. Lungu is not power hungry. Lungu is not power hungry. I refuse. Lungu is not power hungry. Never at any point has Lungu said, Mpakafyenka president. I'm sure, even in the public, I'm sure you will bear with me that there is no point. There is no point where Lungu to say, Mpakafye, I want to become president. I don't think we have ever heard that. I stand to be corrected. But from my point of view, I have never heard Lungu saying, Ndechfai chintu mpakafye. Most of the times when Lungu has come out, it is out of the pressure that comes from the people around him. So my address tonight is that all of you who are saying, yo Lungu, I'm saying, drop it. I'm saying drop it. Because we are just putting pressure on Lungu. We are putting pressure on Lungu. Lungu doesn't need that pressure. He doesn't need that pressure. Because even if you insist on that pressure, you cannot sustain this. This fight cannot be sustained. This is too big a fight. We can't fight this one. We can't fight this one. And as we are fighting, we are putting Lungu kuntanshi. We are putting Lungu kuntanshi. As we are putting Lungu kuntanshi, we are exposing Lungu. We are exposing Lungu. We will keep on targeting Lungu. We'll keep on targeting Lungu. Even while also saying, no, but will be targeting Edgar Lungu. We'll be targeting Edgar Lungu. So far, what has happened to Edgar Lungu is not good. That's for sure. It's not good. Do you want more to come? Do you want more to come? Because I know. Hakainde Ichirema will not sit back. Hakainde Ichirema will keep on pushing, But what will happen to Edgar Lungu? What will happen to Edgar Lungu? Na papata. Lungu. Let us not put so much pressure on him. Me, I am refusing. I will not say Lungu. Shan is power hungry. Lungu is not power hungry. Lungu is not power hungry. It is some of us who are seeing some benefit in Lungu being in power. It is some of us who are pushing Lungu to be in the battlefield. It is some of us who are putting Lungu to be in the battlefield. But as we are doing that, do we have what it takes to fight this? Do we have what it takes to fight this? I've told you, if really we had the capacity, we wouldn't have been where we are today. We wouldn't have been where we are today. We are where we are because really we don't have the capacity. We don't have the capacity. So if you know that you are going into a battle, you're going into a battle. Now you don't have ammunition. How are you going to fight? How are you going to fight? We are failing to mobilize ourselves properly in a by-election. How can we mount that pressure to bring Edgar Lungu on the ballot? How can we have it? How can we have it? And don't even talk about Kumakoti. Don't even talk about Kumakoti. Don't even talk about Kumakoti. Forget it. So you don't have the pressure to put pressure in a by-election. Apano mbato wakwata ma by-elections yabili. Petauke and Pambashe on the same date. On the same date. I know this will be very difficult. This will be very, very difficult. It will put so much pressure on the opposition. It will put so much pressure on the opposition. It will be very difficult. So if we are failing in a by-election, because forget about all that nonsense to say, no, they rigged, they whatever. They cannot rig if you are equal to the task. They would fail to rig if you are equal to the task. They rig because you are lacking somewhere. You are lacking somewhere. If you are not lacking, they cannot rig. They cannot rig. And the issue of resources is a big problem. So you can't fight these by-elections. How can you fight? Because to fight to install Edgar Lungu on the ballot, you must mobilize the whole country. You must mobilize the whole country. The whole country must stand up and say, we want him. But it can't happen. We can't manage it. We can't manage it. So that is where I'm coming from. That is where I'm coming from. And then, others are saying, no, let Edgar Lungu choose somebody. Let Edgar Lungu choose somebody. And then that person will run for elections and whatever. I said it earlier on, that this issue of anointing a successor or somebody to contest, like what happened in Senegal, or like what Rupia Banda did, okay? I heard Shishua today was talking about, the Kaunda way or the Rupia Banda's way. And I've heard some of you are looking at it as, an alternative. Yeah, the second way, the plan B. This issue of putting pressure on Edgar Chagwalungu to choose somebody to run against Hakainde Hichilema should also be dropped. Let us just remove pressure on Walungu. That is what I'm telling you. That is a resolution that we should make. As we welcome 2025, we should make sure that we remove pressure, political pressure on Walungu. We remove political pressure on Walungu. Not to put him to say, no, he's a president of whatever, he's going to be on the ballot. Let us remove all that. Let us remove all that. Let us remove. Number one. Number two, let us remove that pressure to say, Edgar Lungu is going to anoint you, who is going to contest. Let us remove that pressure. Why am I saying that? Because Walungu doing that, he will still be in politics. He will still be in politics, and the Hakainde Hichilema will still be targeting him. He will still be targeting him. Hakainde Hichilema will not sit back to see Edgar Lungu anoint Chirufetayali to become president. He will fight. He will not fight me. Of course, he will also target me, but mostly he will target Edgar Lungu to make sure that Edgar Lungu doesn't have that capacity to support me. So that is number one. Number two, Walungu, it will be too much pressure. Walungu has got so many people around him. So many people around him. It will be very difficult for Walungu, the way I know Walungu, it will be very difficult for Walungu to take a person to say, Ndefo Chirufetayali. I'm just mentioning Chirufetayali because I don't want to be accused of whatever. So it will be very difficult. It will be very difficult on Walungu. That is too much pressure. Walungu is not like that. Walungu is a loving person. He loves everyone. He doesn't want to segregate, to say this one. It will be very difficult. It will be very difficult. It will be very, very difficult. It will be, I'm telling you, it will be difficult. Walungu just to pick on one person among so many people. I've told you, there are so many people. Look at Given Lubinda. Look at how Given Lubinda has toiled for this party. Given Lubinda has toiled for PF. Look at Brown Mundu. Brown Mundu has got support. among so many people. Look at it. I mean, Vengi, there are others whose names, they are not Tayomfuika, but Mukayomfa Kuntanshu Kutulea. Tayomfuika, and they are close to Edgar Lungu. They are close to Edgar Lungu. They are close. There are people who are very close to Edgar Lungu, who actually help Edgar Lungu in a very significant way. So it will be very difficult. So your issue, the way I know Lungu, let's put it aside. That is number 2. Number 3, when Lungu appoint a person, that person, it will be as good as Lungu being on the ballot. It will be as good as Lungu being on the ballot. And that being the case, Lungu has to mobilize resources. Lungu has to go around campaigning for this person. Like what happened to RB when RB anointed Edgar Chagwalungu, supported Edgar Chagwalungu. RB had to go around campaigning for Edgar Chagwalungu. RB had to go around countries mobilizing resources for Edgar Chagwalungu. So this is very important because Edgar Lungu cannot just appoint that therefore tired. He has to back it up with resources. And he has to back it up with resources like those resources were his. During the time of 2014, when the Arabi wanted to stand, I was in the camp of the Arabi. I was one of the people that were pulling strings here and there. I even started the campaign. That is the time when we launched the privatization of Hakainde Ichilema. That is the time that we brought out the issue of the Brent Trust. It's me who brought out those issues. I brought them out and they burn like fire. Arabi was geared to fight for that election. He was already in motion. He was already, organizing things. They were already balloons of vitenges. I don't even know if Tengo but vitenges were printed. Consultants were hired. Arabi had a full back office to fight for that election. So it was easy for him to support Edgar Lungu because he already had the resources, he already had, the mind to fight. It's not the same with Edgar Lungu. It's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. And therefore, Lungu might anoint this person, but this person, together with Lungu, might just be vanquished. And then what? Is that the legacy that we want to Lungu? We want to live on Lungu? Do we want Lungu to go through that, and that should be on Lungu for the rest of his life? Nakana. You may not like what I'm saying, but I'm telling you, I am thinking of Lungu. I'm thinking of Lungu here. I am thinking of Lungu, and I know even Lungu, he might not even like what I'm saying here, but I'm telling you, I have walked some steps ahead and I've looked what is there. And I'm telling you what I'm saying here. If we continue pressing Lungu Kuntanshi, putting pressure on Lungu, I tell you, you will remember this broadcast. You will remember this broadcast. If you are large sticker, 2025, if we continue pushing Lungu, exposing Lungu, I'm telling you, you will see what will happen in 2025, Kuli Lungu. You will see, and you will remember me. But if you love Lungu, I'm saying, let us relieve him. Let us relieve him. Let us remove this pressure on him. Instead, let us change. Let us start campaigning for the restoration of Lungu as a former head of state. Because Lungu vasalulwa, Lungu vachula. So now, let us change and let us campaign, let us start campaigning that Lungu be given the respect, be given the dignity as a former head of state. This is my call. This is my call. This is my call. And I'm calling upon all of you, starting with you, our Palaminina Lungu, starting with you, PF Central Committee, starting with you, the advisors of Lungu around Lungu. I know some of you people, I can mention your names. I tell you, let us be honest. Let us be honest. Let us put this agenda aside and let us move forward. As long as you keep holding on to Lungu, it will even be very difficult for us to progress politically. It will be very difficult. As long as we keep on holding on to Lungu, it will be very difficult for us to move politically. So at this point in time, those of you who want to become presidents, can you identify yourself? Can you show yourself? Can you come up? Come up now and show that you want to be president. And we will recognize you. At the moment, I'm not supporting anyone. I'm not going to say I'm endorsing this one. Because if I mention a name, it's this one who has sent him. No. I'm not being sent by anyone. I'm not even sent by anyone. If they are just coming from me. From me. And for this reason, because I don't want anyone to be accused that not, I am not saying, whoever wants to become president, let that person come forward. Let that person come forward. Let that person show that they have got capacity. You have an opportunity to show that capacity. We have by-elections. We have by-elections in Pambashe. We have by-elections in Petauke. Go and show. Go take on the leadership. Go in those constituencies. Campaign and show your leadership. Show that you have got capacity to lead PF. You have got a challenge. You don't need to go to Edgar Lungu. Go kuma by-elections. Go kuma by-elections. Forget Edgar Lungu. Forget Edgar Lungu. For this election, for these by-elections, I'm even suggesting that Lungu na papata mwika yako. I'm telling you. On this one, I'm saying Lungu na papata mwika yako. Just mwika yako. It's not that I don't want us to win that by-elections. And I know the support that Edgar Lungu has. But let us start now. Let us start now. Lungu beka yako. Imomo balefo abukateka. Nimomo kabie ni kokuri. Nimomo kabie ni kupeta uke, kabie ni kupambashe. Lungu musheni na papata musheni. Tampeni ukufua yolupia. No mbali ni tampeni ukufua yolupia. Tampeni ukupitana mo ukufua yolupia for the by-elections. Because Lungu tako etolupia. Lungu tako etolupia. So pita nenimo bane kabie ni kuli. Kaila ngeni ulukula. Kaila ngeni ulukula kupeta uke. Kaila ngeni ulukula kupambashe. Tumimona ati awe padi wakapetaba. Abadi wakapetaba. Wanti tuinga konka kwa. Ngamwamo na tinamu kwa tamaka. I'm not supporting anyone. Ni mwewe ne mweka. Mwewe akula ntumina mafonu. Kunje batawe inende foku iminina. Not that anyway, because already some of people have been coming to me and saying this and that. But I'm telling you, if you want to stand as president, kuipima. If you want to stand as president, kuipima. Teku ituntumba vepantuwa iroresha chao na inendi muaume. Awe. Yo. Tefo chaba pali mukateka. Muntu andi adikaba pali. Teku iroresha fatawe ndi muaume inendi muaume. ufwile wako na ukwatamaka na akwanina. So mweba kwetamaka, if you really have what it takes to run for presidency, come up. This is the time to come up. We don't have time. Don't wait for anything. Don't wait for anything. We don't have time. If you really want to contest as president, ila ngeni ulukula apapeni hapa. Ila ngeni ulukula. Show yourselves. Not pantuma printo tuma t-shirt to return at yo. I've got capacity. Mwachita haya kabasi ka 18 sita at I've got capacity. Patari mdala, patari. Ukimina ukateka. Mwirangala, patari. We don't talk in thousands. We don't talk in millions of kwacha. Pakimina ukateka. We don't talk of millions in kwacha. We talk of millions in dollars. Millions in dollars. Epo mula ifimwena. Because I know, kuna mwambia bade tuntumba, shanchan. Mufile mwaishiwa. Ngolefo kumina pali ukateka. You should be talking in millions of dollars. Minimum. The barest minimum. Ngolera ndako fila tuna kwataka $5 million. Not kwacha iwe. Epo mufile mula ifimwena. For you to run a campaign, minimum, you should be talking of now kwata fila ka $5 million. But otherwise, you need much more. Iyo $5 million in there and definitely. Ni car entry. Otherwise, if you really want it now, kwata so. Ulefo kui minina wino ka 30M kafile ka ingira pa. 30M if we are ingira. 30M if we are ingira. Pakwa vatu shan. Mukampere bring 5M so. Mairo, I'll tell you, I'm going to Zambia. I would land in that country. I would land in that country muntu wandi. Ni kwata kaingira beso kangwe. Wupina ulenga muntu wandi. Wupina. Kuti twaira ninga kampeni akainde ichirema kutala utauka kwatika twish. So anyway, the point I'm trying to tell you, my brothers and sisters, is that if you want to contest, look at yourself, measure yourself, and then, launch yourself. Don't expect Edgar Lungu to launch you. Let us put Edgar Lungu aside. Let us move on. And then, Kuriva Lungu, therefore, we must restore. And here, I want to make an appeal now to the church leaders. For that restoration of, the former head of state, for that to happen, they need to be some intercessors. To come in between Edgar Lungu na Haka in the Ichirima. There must be people to come in to intervene na papata. I'm asking people to intervene. I'm asking people to come in between Edgar Lungu na Haka in the Ichirima. Can you, especially the church people, the church leaders, can you come in? It is good for us to have these two come together. It is good for the country. This is a noble thing that you can do as church leaders. I am calling upon even the civil society to come in. I'm calling upon the international community to come in. I am calling upon those people who are close to both Haka in the Ichirema na Edgar Lungu. Those people who are close to start speaking, positivity, words of, good words in them, so that these people can come together. If you mutemenefya kwa bati, mulesarura Edgar Lungu, file keni, kabuswe, chipoka mulenga, OVC, Elisha Matambo, I'm calling out your names because imwe ni mwe atemwa sana okulumbula Edgar Lungu. Ni mwe atemwa sana okulumbula Edgar Lungu. Spare the man to apapata. It is for the good of the country. You are already in government. Edgar Lungu namu Now we have seen it. It is difficult, this one. It is difficult. Since namuchinga, you have declared him ineligible. Why are you still insulting Edgar Lungu? Imwe, Kabuswe, Chipoka Mulenga, Elisha Matambo, Gary Nkombo, Cornelius Muetwa. Why are you still... Tabukawana, I would spare Tabukawana. Tabukawana, it doesn't really... I mean, he talks too much, but he's not so much on Edgar Lungu. I think I will spare Tabukawana. But Imwe, you are leaders. You are the ones who are making, even now, these other people to be insulting Edgar Lungu. Can we please stop? What more do you want out of Edgar Lungu? What more do you want? You have put him aside. So why do you keep on, bringing up his name? You can do your campaign without mentioning Edgar Chagwalungu. Napapata, stop this. I am asking you, my brothers and sisters. I'm begging you, please, let us respect Edgar Chagwalungu. Because you are leaders. If you are going to be insulting Edgar Chagwalungu, even the cadres will follow. It is good for us to restore Edgar Lungu as a former head of state. To give him that dignity. It is good. It will be good for our country. It will be good for your government. So Nami Papata, stop bringing Edgar Lungu in your day-to-day political activities. Leave it. We are going Kuma by-elections. Leave Lungu out of your campaigns. Just campaign. Leave Lungu out of your campaigns. Nami Papata, leave Lungu out of your campaigns. Umusalula uchepe kokuli Lungu. Mulewa salula sana. Please, to Papata. And ukutuafuma, if you are going to Balungu, are convinced to come back. Balungu was refusing, but I'm sure because of this pressure which was put on him, no Musalula, that's what made Balungu to come back. And here, some of us, me as one of those people that has been pushing this agenda of Alewere, me, I'm stepping backwards, I'm stepping down. Can you also reciprocate by respecting Edgar Lungu so that I will not mention your names, I will not attack you, and even some of you are my friends, the only time that I respond to you is when you attack by Edgar Lungu. That's when I respond. So this time around, there is no need for you to be bringing Edgar Lungu in your campaign. There is no need. Leave him aside. Church leaders, civil society, eminent citizens, please come in. You have a job this year, 2026. You have a job in 2025. You have a job to make sure that we restore the dignity of Edgar Chagwalungu. Can you come in and intervene? Can you come in and intercede? And make it work. Let us make it work. Those of you, not to pushing, hey, awe, mamdala, awe, kuti, please, lekeni. Let's leave it. Muleba letere mamdala, lekeni. Now, those of you, don't score points by insulting Edgar Lungu. Because you want to score points. Instead, tell Hakainde Ichilema something that is progressive about Edgar Lungu. Tell Hakainde Ichilema something that is progressive. Baneva smumba. Muliba fiash bandi baneva smumba. And today, ishasawaile finshi. The position that you have, But you have an opportunity. Speak to Hakainde Ichilema. Let him look at Edgar Lungu, with compassion. Let him look at Edgar Lungu differently as a former head of state. Banevas Mumba, I'm appealing to you. Bishop Mambo, you know how much I respect you. This is a task that you have. Can you intercede in this situation? Can you intercede in this situation? You church leaders, you are praying for rain. You are in church. Some of you are close to Hakainde Ichilema. Can you speak to him? Can you speak to him? Those of you who are also close to Edgar Lungu, can you speak to him? What I'm saying here is progressive. What I'm saying here is a message of love. It's a message of love. Let's move away from this. Let us preserve that man. Let us have that man restored so that that man can live long. Let us do our politics, but Edgar Lungu cheni tubashe. Mwebalefu abukateka, come up now. Come up. Come up now. You don't have the time. You don't have the time. As far as I'm concerned, I am not supporting anyone. You are not going to see me coming here campaigning for anyone. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Not that I don't have people that I prefer. I have people that I prefer. And maybe at the right time, I will tell you to say this one. But for now, with what is happening in the country, I will remain silent. I will not say. I will not talk about whatever. I know people want direction, So can those people who want to become presidents come and show yourselves so that people can look at you and weigh you? I think that is my message, and I think I've made my point. I'll open the phone lines. I've made my point, I think. Let me not, kutua tu alfia nyamukula ndafuti. So you can call in and give your comments about what I've said. Who is this one now calling here? I'm going to just delete you. It's not this number that you call. It's not you. I don't use my line for this. There is a number that you use, not my line, not my direct line. If you use my direct line, I'll block you. There is a number that we use for this program, not my direct line. Let me